Okay, I decided to start this whole video over because I was having so many issues with the file size and length for YouTube and condensing it. So I'm going to open up Photoshop. I'm going to hit create new. And at this point, we could just pretty much open anything because I'm just going to bring my photos in. And I'm going to change the size by doing a new action set. So I'm just going to go, doesn't even really matter, but we could do we could do film and video if you would like, just, so we're staying consistent. It doesn't really matter what I open. See, to open something, and I'm just going to hit create. I throw my timeline down here. If your timeline's not there, your timeline could be found under, motion. If you open it in essentials, that is fine too. We don't really need to open it anywhere. We don't need to open any specific thing. So what we end up having to do is I'm going to show you how to open up your files and see the file size. So I'm going to go to File, Open. Now, straight from my camera, I have 219 photos. And I already know that some of these photos I'm not going to use because they're too bright or whatever. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to hit open. Okay, it's going to open. Now, it's way too blurry. I'm not going to use it, but so I'm just going to end up deleting it eventually. But what I want to do is I just want to check out the size. So I'm going to go to Image, Image Size. Now, you're going to see that it's 45.6 here. That's huge, especially if I'm gonna times it by 200 or 300. It's gonna be severe lag on my computer because Photoshop's really not, well, it's not really meant to handle that that many files at that size. At least not on my computer. It's not. So and I know the school computers, it's also not gonna handle like that high quality 180 resolution. Plus, there's no reason for it to be that big anyway, because we don't really need to do it because we're using it for just small animation, claymation video. So what I'm going to do is instead of opening up each individual file, which should be an awful long time, and changing the size, I'm going to hit cancel on this. So, or okay, it doesn't matter. We haven't changed anything yet. So we're going to go here to Window, and we're going to hit Actions, and you're going to make a new action set. And we're going to repeat it on each individual one of these frames. So I'm going to hit a new action. I'm going to say smaller. I'm going to hit record. Now it's important that you follow through with this all the way to the end and don't stop recording until after you save and close off your file. Alright, so I'm going to hit record. Then I'm going to go to image and image size. And I'm going to see if I can change this to 1080. Let's see what happens here. So 1080, I'm going to change the resolution to 72. So those are pixels I'm working with. Oh, okay, I messed it up. I always do this too. Alright, I should change it to the resolution to 72 first and then hit 1080. And being that this little link is here, that little link tells us that it's in proportion. So it's going to constrain the proportions and it's going to stay the same. So if I want the top and the bottom to be different, and no matter what number I type in the bottom, the top is automatically going to change unless I unselect this. If I unselect this and I change this like to 1081, let's say, only this changes. Only the height changes. The width will not change. So I'm going to put it back to 1080 and I'm going to link it because I want my stuff to be proportionate. So the resolution is at 180, so I'm going to change that back to 72. I'm going to clear this out at 1080. Okay, now we have that. I'm going to hit OK. It's much smaller, but it's going to look good on the screen. So I'm not going to hit stop record right now. Right now you can tell it's still recording because the red button's there. It's record, just like on many of our recording devices, and that's a stop button. I'm not clicking that yet. Instead, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to File, Save As. And I'm going to overwrite my files, or actually, you know what? I don't want to overwrite my original files. My original files are on my camera still, so I don't really have to worry about this part. So what I am going to do is I'm going to overwrite the unicorn, where it says unicorn large. I'm going to overwrite those files. So it's where it says where, I'm just going to click unicorn large. So it's going to overwrite every one of these. So it's going to say JPEG. That's fine. I'm going to hit save. A file or folder with the same name already exists. The folder unicorn large, replacing it will overwrite its current contents. That's what I want to do, so I'm going to hit replace. 12 is fine, maximum is great. Okay, and I'm gonna hit okay. And then I'm gonna close this off. And then I can hit stop. All right. So now what I'm gonna do, and I was gonna batch render all of my files because if I do each individual one, it's going to take me a very long time. It won't be wrong, it's just going to take a very long time. Why do that to yourself? So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go down to Automate Batch. And right now it says Set Default Action. I find the action, what I named it, which automatically came up as the last one. It was just smaller. All right, the folder, source is a folder, yes. I have all my stuff in a folder, so I want my source to be the folder. If I had all my files open that I want to make smaller, then I'd hit open files, but I don't. They're all still in a folder because there's just way too many of them to open in one shot. And then I'm going to choose this to tell which folder. But all this is good. I don't have to click any of these right now. So I'm going to hit choose. And I'm going to back out of this back to my desktop, and I'm going to find my unicorn large. It's 219 items. I just click up one time. I don't click into it. Click on it. I hit choose. All right, and then over here it says save and close. That is exactly what I want to happen. I want to save and close. Now make sure you click override action save as commands, because if you do not click this, and you do not check mark this, every time that you go to, every time it opens one of your files and it makes it smaller, it's going to pause and it's going to ask you to save it as, and you're going to click save as. And if you have 300 photos, you're going to have to do it 300 times. It seems a little pointless. Just make sure you check mark that box. It says when this option is on, files will be saved to the destination folder only by save as steps in the action. If there are no save or save as steps, no files will be saved. And that is why we put in a save as step when I was recording. So I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to hit OK again. And what you're seeing happen here is it keeps opening every single file. You're going to see the file change. And it's doing it really quickly. So I really probably should have closed off the untitled one, but it doesn't really matter if it's there or not. Just annoying to look at, I suppose. Oh, I thought it was. A couple more frames. It was a little long. I'm not going to say it wasn't. Alright, so this is finished up, and I'm going to go to File and Open, just so you can see what happened. And I'm going to go to my Unicorn Large files. I'm going to just select one of them, and I'm going to open it up, random one in the middle, not direct middle. And I'm going to go at Image, Image Size, and you can see that it is 1440 by 1080, 72 resolution, and it's 4.45 instead of 40. And this should be much better for animation, so especially for using it for YouTube and stuff. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I could actually open up every single frame like this. I go to File, Open. I don't know why I'd want to do this. Every single frame. Hit Select, All, hit Edit and Copy. I had to use my shortcut keys. And I go to Edit and Paste. And I could do this 300 times. So this way in my layers palette I have all 300 frames. That's just going to take a very long time. So what I am going to do is I'm going to close this off. I'm going to hit Don't Save when it asks me to. Do not save. Alright, and I can close this one off too. I don't really necessarily need that open. Alright, so I'm going to open just my very first file, which I am going to end up deleting this one, but I'm going to open it. And then I'm going to open all of my 200 something frames all in one shot, all in the layer palette. The short way, not the long way. Alright, so I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Scripts. And then I'm going to go to Load Files into Stack. I'm going to use a folder. I'm going to browse. I'm going to go back out of this. Then I'm going to hit Unicorn Large, click it, hit open. And what's going to happen is it's going to open all my files. They're all listed here. Alright, I'm going to hit OK. And I'll try to fast forward to this part because this usually takes a good 2 minutes. They're all turned on, but see pretty much everything I did. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each and every one of these frames and I'm going to edit them. So believe it takes a long time. It doesn't take as long as you think. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one because I hate it. Yes, I'm going to delete it. Alright, this one, let me get rid of this stack. I don't need that. Let me get rid of this. I just want to bring up my just window layers. And oh, oops. I just meant to close this off. I didn't mean to. Just neaten yourself. Okay. Alright, so window and layers. I don't want that pink thing showing. Let me see what this looks like down there. I think I'm going to get rid of this one too. Let me see. Yeah, I think I'll get rid of it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I don't want this whole background. It's like my whole other monitor there. So on this layer, I'm going to hit Command T. I'm going to enlarge it. To enlarge it. Bring it down like so. And then I'm going to turn this off. Now I don't like that transition so much, so I am going to go down. I'm going to turn this one off. Make sure I highlight this layer. Hit Command T. I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to start zooming in a little bit more. Bring it down. Let's see what the difference is between the two. So this is what would happen. I go from here to here, which isn't a bad transition. And I turn this one off. I also want to hit Command T and let me zoom in a little bit more. Alright, so then I have from here to here to there, which, whoa, that's really bright. I don't like that at all, and it's just going to take too long to fix. So instead of fixing it, I'm just going to throw it in the trash can. And then I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to edit each and every single one of them. But before I do that, I'm going to actually go up to the top. I'm going to create a new layer.